The broadcast interrupted every channel in the sector simultaneously. Admiral Sienna Cade was reviewing fleet deployments in her ready room aboard the TCS Retribution when every screen flickered to the same image: a young human girl kneeling on a metal platform, surrounded by armed Krythian soldiers. The child could not have been more than 15 years old. Her name appeared at the bottom of the feed in cold, clinical text: Amelie Frost, civilian colonist from New Harmony Settlement. Sienna felt ice flood her veins. "This is Executors Rathkelver of the Krythian Dominion," a voice announced in harsh, translated standard. The camera panned to show a towering reptilian alien in ceremonial armor, his scaled face twisted with contempt. "Let this broadcast serve as warning to all human expansion efforts. Your species trespasses on worlds that belong to the Dominion by ancient right. This child represents the price of your arrogance." Amelie looked directly at the camera. Her face was pale, bruised, tear-streaked. But her eyes held something that made Sienna's heart crack, not fear, but defiance. The girl's lips moved, forming words that the audio did not capture clearly, but Sienna's trained lip-reading skills caught them. "Do not let them win. Do not let them make you like them." What happened next lasted 17 seconds. 17 seconds that would ignite a war. The Krythian soldiers raised their weapons. Energy discharge filled the screen with white light. When it cleared, Amelie Frost was gone. The platform was empty except for scorched metal and the echoing silence of an atrocity broadcast to 5 billion viewers across human space. The transmission ended. Normal programming attempted to resume. But across the Terran coalition, nothing would ever be normal again. Sienna stood frozen, her hand clenched so hard on her desk that the metal groaned. Then she activated her command console, her voice deadly calm. "All senior staff to the briefing room. Immediate priority. Combat status Alpha. This is not a drill." Captain Rowan Blake arrived first, his expression grim. He had seen the broadcast. Everyone had seen it. The Krythians had made sure of that, a calculated act of terror designed to break human resolve. They had made a catastrophic miscalculation. "Admiral, the communications network is overloading," Lieutenant Nash Ferris reported as the command staff assembled. "Every colony, every station, every ship is demanding response. The civilian networks are calling for immediate military action. Fleet Command is receiving 10,000 messages per minute." "What is the status of the New Harmony colony?" Sienna asked, her voice controlled despite the rage building in her chest. "Destroyed. The Krythians hit it 4 hours before the broadcast. 3,000 colonists. Men, women, children. All dead except for the girl they took. They saved her for the execution spectacle." Rowan's jaw clenched. "They wanted us to see. They wanted us to be afraid." "Then they do not understand humans at all," Sienna said quietly. "Fear would be rational. What they have unleashed is something far more dangerous." She pulled up the tactical display showing the Krythian Dominion's territorial holdings. 17 inhabited worlds. 4 industrial centers. 2 major military shipyards. All within strike range of the Terran Coalition fleet. "What are our orders from Fleet Command?" asked Commander Talia Vorn, the Retribution's tactical officer. "We have not received any yet. The civilian government is still debating appropriate responses. They will likely propose diplomatic channels, economic sanctions, appeals to the Galactic Council. And that will take weeks while the Krythians laugh at us," Rowan said bitterly. "They executed a child on live broadcast and we are going to file formal complaints?" Sienna looked at her command staff, men and women who had served with her for years, who had faced impossible odds in the Proxima campaigns, who understood what it meant to make hard choices. "I am going to ask you a question, and I need honest answers. Not what regulations say. Not what politicians want. What you believe is right." She paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. "That girl asked us not to let them win. Not to become like them. But she also deserves justice. Every colonist on New Harmony deserves justice. So I am asking, what is the human response to this atrocity? Do we file complaints and wait for bureaucrats to negotiate? Or do we show the Krythians exactly what happens when they murder our children? The room was silent for 3 seconds. Then Rowan spoke, his voice hard as starship armor. We burn their worlds until they beg for the mercy they did not show Amelie Frost. Around the table, heads nodded. Not with bloodlust. Not with rage. But with cold, implacable determination. Commander Vorn, what is our current fleet strength? Sienna asked. The Third Fleet is at full deployment. 47 capital ships, 300 support vessels, and 60,000 combat-ready personnel. We can mobilize additional forces from the reserve squadrons within 12 hours. Do it! I want overwhelming force. I want the Krythians to see humanity at full strength and understand the magnitude of their error. Admiral, this is starting a war, Lieutenant Ferris said carefully. Fleet Command has not authorized military action. The civilian government will have you court-martialed. Then I will face court-martial, Sienna said. But I will face it knowing I did the right thing. The Krythians want to test human resolve? They want to see if murdering our children will make us retreat? We are about to teach them a lesson they will never forget. She activated the fleet-wide communication channel. This is Admiral Sienna Cade to all vessels of the Third Fleet. You have all seen the broadcast. You know what the Krythian Dominion did to Amelie Frost and the colonists of New Harmony. I am not going to lie to you and say this is a sanctioned operation. Fleet Command has not issued orders. The civilian government has not authorized action. This decision is mine alone, and I will bear the consequences. She paused, then continued with absolute conviction. But I will not stand idle while aliens murder our children and broadcast it as entertainment. I will not let that girl's death be meaningless. I will not show restraint to those who showed none. In 1 hour, this fleet will jump to Krythian space. We will strike their military installations. We will destroy their shipyards. We will make them understand that there are consequences for atrocity. Any ship that does not want to participate may break formation now with no penalty. For those who remain, prepare for combat operations. Cade out. Not a single ship broke formation. 57 minutes later, the Third Fleet jumped. They emerged in the Keltharos system, home to one of the Krythian Dominion's primary military shipyards. The facility orbited a gas giant, its massive construction berths holding 6 warships in various stages of completion. All ships, Battle Formation Delta 7, Sienna commanded. Target only military installations. Verify 0 civilian presence before firing. We are here to deliver justice, not to commit atrocities ourselves. We will not become what they are. The Krythian Defense Fleet reacted with admirable speed, but they were not prepared for the fury of a human armada that had lost restraint. The battle lasted 14 minutes. When it ended, the shipyard was a debris field and the Krythian Defense Fleet had been reduced to scrap metal. Jump to Vraxis Prime, Sienna ordered. Time to hit their industrial center. Over the next 6 hours, the Third Fleet moved through Krythian space like an avenging angel. Every military installation within range was destroyed. Every shipyard was reduced to rubble. Every orbital defense platform was vaporized. The human fleet did not target civilian populations that would make them no better than the Krythians, but they made absolutely certain that the Dominion's capacity to wage war was crippled. After the fourth system fell, the Krythian High Command attempted to open communications. Executors Rathkelver appeared on the screen, his earlier arrogance replaced with something approaching fear. Admiral Cade, this is madness. You have destroyed half our military infrastructure. We seek immediate ceasefire and negotiations. Sienna looked at him with eyes that held no mercy. You broadcast the execution of a child to 5 billion humans, thinking it would frighten us into submission. You are about to learn why every species that has ever fought humanity has regretted it. We do not frighten easily. We do not forget. And we absolutely do not forgive those who harm our young. We were sending a message about territorial boundaries, Kelver protested. And we are sending one back, Sienna replied coldly. The message is this: touch a human child, and we will burn your civilization to ash. Attack our colonies, and we will obliterate your military capacity. Broadcast atrocities, and we will make you regret that the galaxy ever learned your species' name. You wanted to test human resolve? Congratulations! You found it. You cannot do this. The Galactic Council will intervene. You are committing war crimes. War crimes? Sienna's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. We have targeted only military installations. We have confirmed 0 civilian casualties. We have followed every rule of engagement. You murdered 3,000 civilians and executed a child on live broadcast. When the Council reviews this situation, they will find that humanity responded with remarkable restraint. We could have glassed your worlds. We could have done to your civilians what you did to ours. But we did not. Because we are better than you. She leaned forward, her expression carved from stone. Here are your options, Executor. Option 1, surrender immediately. Turn over every individual involved in the New Harmony massacre and the execution of Amelie Frost. Submit to Terran Coalition jurisdiction for trial and sentencing. Option 2, we continue destroying your military infrastructure until your species has no capacity for interstellar warfare whatsoever. You have 30 seconds to decide. Kelver's scales had paled to a sickly gray. This is not how civilized species conduct diplomacy. You are right. Civilized species do not execute children on live broadcast. But since you chose barbarism, we are responding in kind. 20 seconds. The Dominion will never surrender to humans. Then burn. Sienna cut the transmission and turned to her tactical officer. Commander Vorn, target the Krythian homeworld's orbital defense platforms. Prepare to destroy them. Admiral, that will leave their homeworld completely defenseless, Rowan warned. I know. It will also demonstrate that we have the capacity to destroy them utterly but are choosing restraint. They need to understand how close they came to extinction. The Third Fleet moved into position around the Krythian homeworld. Millions of reptilian aliens watched their orbital defenses light up with targeting locks from human warships. The communication channel crackled. Kelver was back, but his voice had lost all arrogance. Wait. We will meet your terms. Full surrender? War crimes trials? Yes. All of it. Just do not fire on our homeworld. Sienna let the silence stretch for a long moment, letting them feel the terror of absolute vulnerability. Then she spoke. Stand down from combat status. But remain in position. If the Krythians attempt to renege on these terms, remove their orbital platforms and military satellites. Leave the planet itself untouched. She opened a channel to the Krythian homeworld's primary communication network. This is Admiral Sienna Cade of the Terran Coalition. 15 hours ago, your government murdered 3,000 human colonists and executed a 15-year-old girl named Amelie Frost. They broadcast her death to terrorize humanity. Instead, they awakened something far more dangerous than fear. They awakened human justice. She gestured and her communications officer patched through footage of the destroyed Krythian military installations. Your leadership believed that humans would respond to atrocity with weakness. They were wrong. We have destroyed 60% of your military infrastructure in 6 hours. We have crippled your capacity to wage war. And we did it while following rules of engagement that your government violated when they massacred civilians. The footage shifted to show the human fleet in orbit above the Krythian homeworld. Right now, 47 capital ships are targeting your orbital defenses. We could destroy them. We could leave your homeworld defenseless. We could do to your civilians what your military did to ours. But we will not. Because humanity does not punish the innocent for the crimes of the guilty. We are better than your leadership. We are better than those who murdered Amelie Frost. Sienna's expression hardened. Your government has agreed to surrender those responsible for the New Harmony massacre. They will face trial under Terran Coalition jurisdiction. Justice will be served. But understand this, if any Krythian government, now or in the future, ever harms another human civilian, the response will not be 6 hours of targeted strikes. It will be total war. We will burn every military installation you possess. We will leave your species unable to threaten anyone ever again. This is not a threat. It is a promise. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in across an entire civilization. Humanity wanted peace. We wanted coexistence. You chose violence. You chose to murder our children. And you have learned the price. Remember this lesson. Remember what happened when you pushed us too far. Remember Amelie Frost, and remember that her death was not in vain. It marked the moment when the Krythian Dominion learned that humanity protects its own. The transmission ended. 12 hours later, the Krythian government turned over 47 individuals involved in the New Harmony massacre, including executors Rathkelver. They were transported to Terran space to face trial for war crimes. The proceedings were broadcast across the galaxy, ensuring that every species understood the consequences of targeting human civilians. Kelver was defiant during his trial, insisting he had only been sending a message about territorial disputes. The prosecution presented evidence of the deliberate targeting of civilians, the torture of prisoners, and the calculated cruelty of executing Amelie Frost on live broadcast as psychological warfare. The tribunal found all 47 defendants guilty. Sentences ranged from life imprisonment to execution, depending on individual involvement. Kelver received the death penalty. Before his sentence was carried out, he asked to speak with Admiral Cade. Sienna met him in the detention facility, separated by reinforced glass. The Krythian looked diminished somehow, his earlier arrogance completely gone. "Why did you not destroy our homeworld?" he asked. "You had the power. You had the justification after what we did." Sienna regarded him coldly. "Because that would make us like you. Amelie Frost's last words before you murdered her were asking us not to let you win, not to become like you. I honored her request. We delivered justice without becoming monsters. Your restraint will be seen as weakness. No. It will be seen as strength. Any species can commit atrocities. It takes real power to deliver consequences while maintaining moral authority. The galaxy now knows that humanity can respond to violence with overwhelming force, but we choose precision over bloodlust. That makes us more dangerous, not less." Kelver was silent for a moment. "I underestimated humans." "You did. You saw our preference for diplomacy and mistook it for weakness. You thought murdering a child would terrify us into retreat. Instead, you united 5 billion humans in fury. You gave us moral clarity and removed any restraint we might have shown. Every military analyst in the galaxy is now studying what happens when you push humanity past the breaking point. The lesson is clear: we will burn worlds to protect our people, but we will do it according to our rules, not yours." The girl. She really asked you not to become like us? She did. 15 years old and facing death, and her concern was that we would lose ourselves in revenge. That is humanity, Kelver. We produce children with more wisdom and courage than your entire government. And when you murdered her, you guaranteed that no one would ever make that mistake again. Kelver's execution was carried out 3 days later, by lethal injection, according to Terran Coalition law. It was not broadcast. There was no spectacle. Just justice, delivered efficiently and without cruelty. The Krythian Dominion remained at peace with humanity for the next 2 decades. Not because they loved humans, but because they remembered what happened when they killed Amelie Frost. They remembered their military installations burning. They remembered human warships in orbit above their homeworld. They remembered that humanity could have destroyed them utterly but chose restraint. And they never forgot the lesson. Sienna faced a military tribunal for her unauthorized action. The proceedings lasted 1 week. In the end, the tribunal acknowledged that while her actions had violated protocol, they had also prevented a larger war by demonstrating overwhelming force and clear consequences. She received an official reprimand and a private commendation for leadership under impossible circumstances. The civilian government attempted to censure her, but public opinion was firmly on her side. Amelie Frost had become a symbol across human space, a reminder that some lines could never be crossed. Her name was immortalized in the Terran Coalition's military academy. New ships bore her name. Colonists named their children after her. And on the anniversary of her death, every human colony held a memorial service. Not to celebrate violence. Not to glorify revenge. But to remember what happened when humanity was pushed too far. To honor the girl who asked them to remain better than their enemies even as she faced death. 5 years after the incident, Sienna visited the memorial erected at New Harmony. The colony had been rebuilt, its population restored, its future secured by the knowledge that humanity would protect it no matter the cost. She stood before the statue of Amelie Frost, a young girl, defiant, unbroken, and read the inscription carved at its base. Do not let them win. Do not let them make you like them. Remember that strength without morality is just cruelty. We are better than our enemies. We must always be better. Sienna felt tears running down her face for the first time since that terrible day. We tried, she whispered to the statue. We delivered justice. We made them pay. But we did it your way. We stayed better than them. Behind her, Rowan approached quietly. Admiral, the Council is hosting a session on civilian protection protocols. They are using our response as the model for how to handle attacks on non-combatants. 40 species have signed a treaty agreeing that atrocities against civilians will be met with unified military response. They are calling it the Frost Doctrine. Sienna smiled through her tears. She changed the galaxy. A 15-year-old girl, and she changed how civilized species treat civilians. She did. Because we honored her request. We showed that justice and restraint can coexist with overwhelming force. The galaxy learned that humanity will protect its people, but we will do it the right way. They stood together before the memorial as the sun set over New Harmony. 3,000 colonists had died here. But their deaths had not been meaningless. They had sparked a response that changed galactic law. They had forced humanity to demonstrate that moral authority and military power were not incompatible. And at the center of it all was Amelie Frost, who in her final moments had asked humanity to remain true to itself. To deliver justice without becoming monsters. To remember that how you win matters as much as that you win. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Touch human children, and worlds burn. But those who burned them would always remember that humanity chose precision over genocide, justice over revenge, and morality over bloodlust. Because that was what made humanity truly dangerous. Not the capacity for violence, but the wisdom to wield it righteously. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe for more. Thank you.